gets open for three. Dagger!
Hello, and welcome back to Well Beyond the Arc, bringing you all things NBA basketball. I'm Montana, joined as always by my co-host David. Before we get started, how you doing, bro? How was we had a little week off, had a little relaxation, a little bit of a break. How was it, bro? How was your week off?
It was pretty good. I was away spring break, so that was pretty good. I can't complain. Every rest we get is important. So yeah.
Absolutely, bro. No, it's always good to have a little bit of rest. The one thing that is not having a rest right now would be the NBA. It is in full swing. It is so much action is going on. We'll get right into it. Starting first with our good, bad, and ugly. Starting with good, my good for the show. It might make me a little bit of a homer, but I can't help it. Lakers beating the Nuggets last night. Big win, huge win for the Lakers. Obviously, Joker and Murray were out. But LeBron was out, Rui was out. I think, honestly, it was a pretty fair now, seeing Luka score 20 points in the first quarter, that wasn't very fair. But the matchup was pretty fair. We both of us had some of our guys out. It was a good game. That tied the season series 2-2 for the first time since I can remember. I mean, I think that probably ties the series for the first time since the 2020 season. I could be wrong. I don't have that. I'm not gonna don't quote me on that because I don't have the actual, but I know for a fact that we have not tied the series for the last few years. So for me, that was good, especially having Braun out. So definitely the Lakers win. Just a top to bottom win. They look like a really top to bottom team, a very well-rounded team, and they're going in the right direction. So that's what that win made me feel for sure, and that's why it's my good. But what do you think, David? What is your good for this week's show? What are you rocking with for this one?
I want to shout out the Houston Rockets.
Ooh.
8 games won. That was really good. I think yesterday they capped it off with a win against I forget who they played. I guess the Magic, who are no scrubs in their own right. So shout out the Houston Rockets. I guess since no one wants to get that number 2 seed, I don't think it will last. I think they'll probably lose the next one. I don't know. I'm not. But no one really wants that number 2 seed. But it looks like they have firm their hand on the number 2 seed as of right now. But there's still 3.5 weeks to go. But yeah, shout out to good basketball, good play. So yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe not all the way, but good shout out. Honestly, have to shout them out. I thought they were going to start losing some steam, and they did have a point where they kind of were losing, and now they're back up. So good shout out, very good pick. Moving on to bad. This might be the first time ever in this show's history that my good and my bad are the same thing. My bad has to be the Lakers. Currently have 5 players out. Now, here's the thing. We were just talking before we went live. Luka, it's probably because it's a back-to-back. He's still coming back from an injury. Every game he looks more and more like Luka, but you want to be safe, especially because we're so close to the postseason, and the chance of us slipping all the way down to a play-in is very unlikely. So it's okay if we have a couple games where we have him out. The part that bothers me is Rui being out. The part that bothers me is LeBron being out. Now, LeBron, on Saturday, they said he probably has one more week. Predicted at least one more week. At the end of the day, I don't think we need LeBron. Not in a bad way. I think that our team looks well-rounded enough and we're playing a high enough level of basketball that I think resting LeBron and getting him ready and himself ready for the postseason is what we really need from him. So I don't have a problem with that, but it concerns me because it just bothers me seeing these players be out, and then it makes me concerned about what if during the postseason LeBron goes down, Luka goes down. It does change the dynamic of where that goes. So that's my bad. It could be way worse. It looks like hopefully LeBron will be back before the end of the regular season. But I'm more looking at Rui. That's the part that I guess if there's a reason I have a bad, it's probably because of Rui, because he is a huge part of that Lakers team, and having him be out you see it and you feel it even in the games that we're winning. When we have Rui, certain parts of our game are stronger. He has contributed a lot more this season. So for me, that's a big one. But again, Luka will be back. These players will be back. But it's also turning up now that it looks like possibly Austin Reeves is also out. So that was not what was showing up when I looked earlier. That is as of just today, it says he may be out in tonight's game. But there's no further information. At the end of the day, the Lakers are sitting in a pretty good spot, so it's not the end of the world to sit some guys and have some guys out. But it still is my bad because that concerns me. We definitely need those players for these key games like we have tonight against the Bucks. So that's my bad, David. Enough of me talking. What's your bad?
Cleveland.
Ooh, okay.
No one has really said anything about Cleveland, have we? Because they have been winning, and fair enough to them. They have been winning games comfortably, and maybe even some uncomfortably. But that doesn't stop us from saying that dropping 3 games, and yes, they have qualified for the playoffs. Yes, they have the best record by a mile, or not by a mile, but you know what I mean. 7, 12, 6, 13. No, OKC have the best record right now because of the 3-game losing streak. But yeah, Cleveland dropping 3 games on the road. And some might not look at it as a big thing, but I think it is, especially going into the postseason. You want to have that momentum going into the postseason. But them dropping 3 games, I think, is just really bad. So yeah, that's all I'll say. I can't remember last time I spoke about Cleveland. Like, they are good, yes, but like not in a bad way. I haven't spoken about them in a bad way. This is kind of sad. Or rather, hopefully it's nothing to worry about. Let's just.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is a telling that the Cavs get bounced early. They have gotten bounced early the last couple of times they've made a postseason appearance, but they're a way better team than they've been any of those times, in my personal opinion. So I don't think it's a good call to say they get bounced early because of this, but I definitely agree with David. I think that it's not getting covered enough because they're so far ahead of other teams that it's easy to forget that a 3-game losing streak can be telling of your future in the postseason or just in general. So that is a good bad, and it is something that we'll keep tracking, because what if they continue that? What if they keep extending their losing streak? There is only so many games you can give up, and even if you finish first, that momentum starts to drop if you're on that streak. So it's a good call, and we'll keep tracking it as they go. But they're a team that could easily turn it around and go back on a big winning streak because they've been that team. So time will tell. Moving on to the ugly, I got to go with the Mavs. 1-9 in their last 10, and they have 7 players that are confirmed out with injuries. Klay Thompson might be probable, and 1 more might be probable, but still 5 absolutely out, 2 potentially out. And I didn't realize just how bad it was in Dallas. I have an uncle that lives out there, and he visited, and we talked last week. And half of our visit was just him talking about how terrible the Mavs fan base status is now. And they've ramped the ticket prices up. And it's really, really, really – the Mavs are in an awful spot. Mm-hmm. They're looking like they're going to miss the postseason, which at this point, maybe that isn't the worst place, because maybe it's better you sit AD, because obviously Kyrie's out. Klay Thompson might be in and out of the lineup with. So maybe it makes sense to just call it a season and just play the rest of your games out and, keep AD out. But whatever you do, it's ugly. Whatever you do, you're going to finish this season on an ugly note. You gave up your star player, your player that was supposed to take you back, and did take you back to the finals for the first time since Dirk. And then you just moved on so quick. So whatever happens for them at the end of this season, their season was ugly. Even if they went on an insane win streak and finished in the 10th seed, they're not going much further than that. So whatever happens, it was an ugly season for the Mavs. And hearing a Mavs fan talk about that, it just proves it. So I got to go with the Mavs. But the real ugly is their 1-9 record, because truly – I didn't think they were going to do great, but I thought they were going to do better than 1-9. I really did think they were going to be able to hold their own better than that. So Mavs are my ugly. David, what are you rocking with for your ugly this week?
Miami.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's actually a really good
one. On a 9-game losing streak. That's worse than the Wizards, obviously. Bear in mind that the Wizards
really
won 2 games ago against the Hornets or whatever. But that's mental. 9 games. When you look at Miami, 9 games. Obviously, they are 5 games above Toronto, and I don't think Toronto will catch them. But that's mental. And I look just kind of just looks like Miami. It looks like Jimmy Butler knew what he was doing. It's kind of making Jimmy Butler look like a good guy. Look like the guy that was the the guy that was, whatever it is. So it's kind of sad because Miami are a team that I like Eric Spoelstra, but something ain't just right. Something ain't just working. 9 games. Damn. That's probably other than Wizards. That's and yeah, other than the Wizards and maybe the Jazz and Pelicans, that's probably the worst losing streak in the NBA this season.
Yeah, no, that by far is bad. And like you said, they still have that lead, and they're probably going to inch their way into that play-in, but that's probably going to be about it for them too. So that Miami going from a team that was a conference final participant multiple years in a row with Jimmy Butler, or at least made it close to it. They were a solid team with Jimmy Butler. That bubble season, they really, really looked like a team that could potentially start to maybe get that other piece. Honestly, we're looking at a team that if they would have gotten one or two other pieces, more than likely would be the team that we would have seen in the finals more consistently and still, because they had a really good thing going until they didn't. So that's a good ugly. And unfortunately for Miami, it looks like it's not going to get much better this season. Hopefully it gets better than a 9-game losing streak. But yikes, that's a good ugly. So moving on, good, bad, and ugly every week. Obviously, we hit it up. If there's any good, bad, and uglies you guys see that you want to throw in our comments, ever go for it. We always will open up conversation about that. But moving on, we're going to talk about something that is a little bit interesting. We're going to still talk about the Mavs a little bit more. We're going to talk about the Suns and the Mavs because I believe they're currently tied, or one of them is 1 game back. The only reason we're doing this is last episode we talked, which was before spring break, before we took our week off. The Mavs had a tiny, I think it was a 2-game lead or something like that, and it looked like they were going to be the team that was going to finish up there. Do you think the Suns are going to be able to finish in the 10th seed, or do you think the Mavs finish in the 10th seed?
This conversation is low-key useless. No offense, but like it's low-key useless because they are both terrible teams. And obviously Mavs terrible because of what they expect. Phoenix has no right to be terrible. They have no right. They're just really terrible. But I will give the edge to Phoenix just because when those guys actually want to step up, they will step up. But to be honest, this conversation is point. They are both terrible teams right now. And one is understandable. The other is they're just really, that ball club is just messed up right now. You hear the amount of reports that come up every time about being uncertain and KD this, KD like, I don't get it with Phoenix. So it's kind of a stranger, but I will give it to Phoenix. I think Phoenix does edge out Dallas just because I don't think Dallas has what it takes. I need to be good for Dallas to just sit this one out. It's to be good. Everyone get healthy. We come back next season, we group and we fire on. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Definitely no. I don't know about that one. Don't think that's gonna happen.
Yo, crazy ass comments. No, thank you for the comments, but you're just crazy.
I'm gonna run that one more time so we can see that again, because here's what's not going to happen. That the going on a run isn't going to happen. I do think the Suns, like you said, are going to edge out the Mavs because the Mavs are just terrible, and it's understandable. You broke it down really well because the Suns have no right to be terrible. You're looking at a team that's about to disband. You're looking at a team that KD, I would be shocked if KD is there this time next season. I'd be absolutely shocked. Please don't trade for KD, Lakers. Don't do that. We don't want to do that. I've seen a couple of reports. I really, 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 really hope it is just fake reports about fake whatever trade packages for KD. That is not what the Lakers need to do. But one team is going to pull the plug and go for him because he is a player that has somewhat of a good reputation, at least with his skill. His leadership and certain other things, I think you could argue he has not the greatest reputation on the other side. But some team is going to go for him. Some team's going to pull the plug and make a move for him. But the Suns are a better team than the Mavs. Like you said, they edge them out a little bit. They have more talent. And when they play like they did in their last game, where I think Booker dropped 40 and KD dropped a mid to high 20 or something, they're going to win games like that, no problem. When they're and role players step. They have a team that has skill and has talent. They just have not been able to formulate it and make it work. And they're not going to. Like I said, I do see them disbanding, and the only player I can see them prioritizing keeping is Booker, if I'm being completely honest. And that's what I would do if I was them. I would prioritize Booker and figure out the team around him from there. But I give it to the Suns. But like you said, both teams aren't making it out of the play-in. Both teams are terrible. Both teams are kind of a waste of time talking about because neither team has enough time to really go on a run to make themselves worth talking about. The Suns have a pretty difficult schedule. Honestly, the Suns have a harder schedule than the Mavs, but the Suns have a more complete team than the Mavs have, so I still don't see the Mavs winning more games than the Suns do. So time will tell, but both teams are definitely on the bottom of that play-in talk even. So not really the teams to talk about. Moving on to the next, we are going to continue talking play-in, but we're going to talk about the teams that actually look nice, that look solid, and give our thoughts and our predictions for who is going to finish in that 7th and 8th seed. For me in the West, I have the Timberwolves finishing in that 7th seed. I definitely think they've had some ups and downs. The Timberwolves have this is another team we need to talk about, with not blowing up their roster, but giving up the team that took them so far and made them relevant after making it all the way there, just completely disbanding that and going for a new look, and a new look that has kept them relevant and has kept them in and up in the Wild West, but they're not the same team they were last season, not even close. And the rankings and where they're at in the standings shows that. So for me, they're not that team that's going to crack 6 and up, but I think the Clippers are currently 7th and they're currently 8th. I don't see the Clippers beating an Anthony Edwards led T-Wolves team in a game. I see Anthony Edwards coming out and having a monster game, and the team, if I saw this correctly, is one of the healthier it's been. At least it was when I looked. It's a little bit. I think Julius Randle was back or is coming back, so there's a little more health potential. There's a little more to boost them. For me, I see them finishing that 7th seed, and then I've got the Kings finishing in that 8th seed. I think the Kings are going to be the team that they look nice. They have a little more momentum than they did pre acquisition with who they picked up with Levine. They've got a little bit more traction. They're still not cracking the top 6. They're not even going to come close to that. I think they're going to stay. I think they're 9th currently. They're not going to come beyond that going into it, but I see them having a really, really nice play-in, because what you have to remember is, just like the postseason, the play-in it's different than a regular season. It's different. I definitely see that Kings team finishing that 8th seed. So for me, I've got T-Wolves 7 and I've got Kings at 8th. What do you have for the West? What are your predictions?
So you're saying the Clippers will not make it. The Clippers will lose to. So what you're saying is Clippers will lose to Minnesota, and then
lose to the Kings,
and then go lose to the Kings.
Yes, sir. I'm calling it right now.
Won't Phoenix beat the Kings?
No, absolutely not. You think Phoenix beats the Kings? Really?
I think come playoff time,
okay,
the guys will turn up. Obviously now it's regular season.
I mean, yeah, because you got KD in the playoffs, you got Booker in the playoffs. I'll give you that, but I also think the Kings, to an extent, because they have had a little bit of experience, will also. I think it'll be a really good game. What I'll give you is I think it'll be a really, really, really good game. But I think the Kings win it, and then I think they can. I think whatever team, I think whatever team wins beats the Clippers. Whatever team, I think the Clips are out no matter what. So then we're talking the Suns get in at the 8th seed, and that's, I don't know. But yeah, yes. To answer your question, I don't have the Clips in it at all.
Yeah, I agree. You have the Timberwolves at 7. I have Timberwolves beating the Clippers. If we're going based on today, because again, this can change in like next tomorrow, like absolutely, Saturday. This can be completely different. So I have Minnesota winning, getting the 7th seed, and I have the Clippers. I think the Clippers get the 8th seed. I think is well deserved. I think the other 2 teams do not deserve it. I don't care what you say, if it's based on who wins, whatever. I do have Phoenix beating Sac. Again, if Portland even gets up there, I have Portland even making it. Going to play the Clippers. But yeah, Minnesota, then Clippers. Wait. No, I don't agree. Wait. I don't agree to Suns making a run. I just have them.
Hey, that's what it sounds like to me, bro.
I
I
just
agree.
have them. I just have them beating Sacramento in the plane. That's all.
You heard it here. David said they're going all the way to the Western Conference Finals. No, I'm just kidding. I won't.
If that happens, I might just stop watching basketball. If that happens, I'll just stop watching the NBA.
No, hey, that sounds like a call I would make, not you. So it's okay. Well, we won't get that confused. Moving on to the East. I think this one's easier than the West. I got the Hawks in 8. I think the Hawks are a team that'll show up and turn up. I like how you see a team that turns up when it's postseason. That's important. I think the Hawks will be that team. And then I got the Magic at 8. So I'm going Hawks. Did I say, excuse me, Hawks 7, Magic 8. I don't know if I said that wrong first, but I think that's pretty, to me, that's pretty cut. But what are your thoughts? Do you have it going another way?
No, I think it's valid. I think that's valid. I don't think Miami can.
Nah.
Miami can probably beat Chicago and then go play either the losers of Atlanta or the Magic, and they will lose. Because we also what. This is crazy. I'm just looking at it and like every team in the East 1 to 6 has clinched postseason.
Yeah, it's
and no one other than the OKC has clinched postseason in the West, which is crazy.
Yeah. No.
Anyways, we're being sidetracked, but yeah, I don't have any argument there. I think that's kind of what it would be at. I think Atlanta and Orlando. I don't know. I think it might maybe just switch a bit, if anything. But I think both of them making it.
I don't see. What I like about the East this year is usually there's kind of a fall off of teams that have like that talent from and sometimes it's been like 5 and up. Like there's like you can see it. I think it drops off after 8. I think 9 and below is that big like depth drop off and that talent drop. So I really would love to see Orlando and the Hawks make it, because I think those are 2 playoff ready teams that have been in the postseason and started to kind of be a little more consistent postseason team. So I'm hopeful that we see them, and I also think we will see them. I'd be shocked. Miami. Now, if Miami still had Jimmy Butler, I'd be switching what I was saying. If Miami still had, because we saw Jimmy Butler come alive in moments like that. We saw Jimmy Butler wake up and wake the team up. So I definitely think, but they don't really have that. They're kind of a team without that player now and without that identity. So that I don't see Miami doing anything crazy. But again, really the West is where it could change tomorrow. It could change. Like the West is so close that the West is the one that I think is more, we'll have to keep an eye out. I think the East is almost decided, honestly, because it's so there's a big separation. But time will tell. We'll obviously check back in, and there's a little bit. I think I looked, I don't know if I counted correctly. I think the Suns, when I was looking at their remainder of games, have 11 or 12 games left. So I'm assuming that teams are kind of in the realm of at least under 15 games remaining. So it's crazy. This season went by fast. We honestly started late, but we started with a lot of games left. I feel like we still started with quite a few of the NBA season left, and it's gone by so fast. So the playoffs are approaching. And speaking of that, I don't think we just did one of these. We've maybe done 2, but we're going to do a third if we've done 2. We're going to talk about the 1 through 6, because honestly, since we last did this, they've changed drastically. And we're just going to give our thoughts on where it's at now, and if we can see it going in a certain direction at the end of these 11, 12, 13 games. Looking at the West, I mean, I think we can say the first 2 seeds with the Cavs and with the first seeds in both conferences are pretty much locked. I don't think there's going to be any change at all with those, especially in the West. But even in the East, I don't foresee any teams going on an insane run that would warrant knocking either of those teams off. So I'm going to say right now that my number 1 seed in both the East and West, I think, is going to be the same as it is now. Obviously, the team that is actually in second right now is, I believe, the Rockets in the West. I don't see that happening. I'm going to say it right now. This might be, as then they finish in that position. I got to go with the Lakers. I think the Lakers finish second in the West. I think the Lakers have a really good chance at going on a little bit of a run, even if they're missing some of their key players, because they've played such a better brand of basketball on both sides of the ball. I would not be shocked if the Lakers beat the Bucks tonight. Is it a little bit of a stretch, especially if the Bucks have a decently healthy squad showing up? Yes, but I think this Lakers team is their coaching is so you can tell that there's a difference in coaching, and sometimes that's enough to win games. I don't know. I don't want to get lost in what I'm trying to say, but I really do think that. So I think the Lakers definitely could realistically finish in that second spot. They're not there right now. They have a little bit of climbing to do, but I can see them doing that. The Lakers are currently third in the standings. My third by the end of the season is the Nuggets. This is another team that they've got Murray and Joker out right now, but it doesn't seem like it's injuries that are going to keep them out for the remainder of the season. I would foresee them being back within the next few games. I don't actually know what their injuries are. Maybe you know better about it than I do. I don't know what they're out with, honestly. I just know they missed last night's game, and I know that it sounds like they're potentially missing at least 1 or 2 or 3 or a couple more games. But this Nuggets team is a really, really good squad, and they've won without them. We saw them pull off a big win when they were short-handed. And if the Lakers weren't careful and didn't play aggressive last night, the Nuggets would have came back against us. They pushed. They had a push. They had a couple moments in the game, if you watched it, where they had a little bit of a push. So the Nuggets are absolutely a team with, I said it last time, they definitely are missing depth in a few areas, but they do have a really good team depth, and we saw that in that win they had before the Lakers game, and then in that loss to the Lakers, we still saw the depth present because they did have a really, really good game. Now, again, there were some parts where there was just literally 1 or 2 Nuggets players that were carrying the entire. So they're a little bit off balance, but I still think they finished third. Fourth currently is the Nuggets. My fourth by the end of the season, I've got the Warriors. They're on a 8-2 run or something like that in the last 10 games. I don't see that stopping. And I looked at their schedule, and I think they don't have the easiest schedule. They do have some marquee games, but I think that they are playing a brand of basketball, and they're healthy. They're one of the healthier teams. I think they absolutely could finish fourth. So give me the Warriors fourth, and then coming in at fifth right now is the Grizzlies. I have the Rockets finishing fifth. I know they're second right now. I don't want to take anything away from what you said earlier about them, and I honestly agree with it about them being a solid team, but I don't foresee them finishing with that momentum and finishing in that second seed. So I have them finishing fifth, and then my sixth has to be the Grizzlies. So that's what I think the top 6 is going to be. This actual 6th seed currently is the Warriors. David, what are your thoughts? Do you think this top 6 remains pretty much the same, or do you think it will flip on its head before the end of the season is done?
Excuse me, this is crazy. OKC has a 12.5 game lead behind second, right?
It's insane.
In the East, right? In the East, Cleveland just has a 6-game lead behind the Celtics. I don't know what that means in terms of is OKC just by far the best team in the NBA? Like, if the Rockets, because the Rockets can literally go to the East and they'll be okay, they won't be second, but they'll be third, right?
Yeah.
But like, is OKC just miles ahead of every team in the West? 12.5 games, that is mental. Anyways, little observation. Do I see anything changing? I do think the Warriors will stay at 6th. I don't agree with you that they will go. I think that's very harsh on Memphis and Rockets.
Yeah, no, I mean,
except the Rockets lose 5 in a row and the Warriors win 6 in a row. Yeah, no. So I have the Warriors finishing 6th. I have Memphis finishing 5th. I don't trust Memphis. I literally do not trust Memphis. So I have them finishing 5th. I have the Rockets finishing 3rd. Sorry, 4th. I have the Rockets finishing 3rd. I have Denver finishing 3rd, and I have Lakers finishing 2nd. That's what I have, and we'll see. So OKC, Lakers, Denver, Rockets, Memphis, and then Golden State.
Yeah, no, I definitely think I can see that too. I think the Rockets will have a little bit of a drop. Will it be as steep as I predict? I don't know, but time will tell. There's still plenty of basketball left on all ends, and who knows where that'll be at. The East, again, Cavs, like you said, they don't have as big of a lead. I still think that they finish first because I think they're going to have enough endurance and enough to be able to finish first. So I've got the Cavs finishing first. Currently second is the Celtics. I'm sticking with that as well. I think the Celtics finish with enough steam to be that team for sure. And maybe they even push the Cavs. I don't think they beat the Cavs out and finish first, but I think they could maybe they get within 2-3 games or something like that and kind of put the Cavs on notice going into the playoffs. I can definitely see that being a possibility. Currently at number 3 is the Knicks. I'm sticking with the Knicks. I definitely think the Knicks I think they're going to be a regular season team still, which is a team that does really good in the regular season and then just loses and gets bounced. I don't want to say first round. I could see them making it to the second round. I also could see them getting bounced in the first, honestly. But then again, it also depends on the matchup. But yeah, I think the Knicks finish third. Fourth right now is the Pacers, and this is where my list changes. I think the Pistons finish fourth. I think the Pistons, because they're currently fourth is currently separated.
Two games.
Yeah, it's super close, and the Pistons are on a run, and they've been playing the best basketball that they've played. So for me, I think the Pistons finish fourth, and then Bucks fifth, Pacers sixth. I think the Pacers are a pretty mid-level team this season. They're definitely not the same team that they were. I mean, they're still having good games, having moments, but they're definitely, to me, they don't look like the same team they looked like. So I think that they don't finish. They're currently fourth. I don't think they finish. Bucks fifth, Pistons sixth. For me, again, I think the Pistons finish and complete a little bit of a regular season push and finish in that fourth seed. Because you said it's 2 games. I don't know. I think the Pistons have what it takes to kind of complete that push. But so yeah, that I really have it only changing from 4 to 6, and kind of flipping. Where do you think the Eastern Conference goes for the rest of the season?
I think the only change I'll make is Pistons above Milwaukee, but I think everything is staying the same. I think Cleveland finishes top, then Boston second, New York third, Pacers fourth, Detroit fifth, Milwaukee sixth. I don't trust Milwaukee. I don't know. There's just something about them. They don't have a clear identity, which is kind of scary to say for a team with Giannis and Damian Lillard. But yeah, I have them finishing sixth.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good call. For me, I think the Pistons are kind of a team where they could continue a little bit of a push and look like a really, 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 really good postseason team, or they could just finish where they're at. And then I think they'll make it out of the first round, but they could very well be a first round exit this season just because of matchups and because of who they're up against. But I think they make it. I think they go on a little run. But again, seeding and where you're at is super important. So I see them trying to continue a push to have a slightly higher seeding possibly. But time will tell. Obviously, there's under 20 basketball games left, so we will check in and see where we're at with these teams and with this seeding later on. Moving on, we are going to look at which teams, now that we have kind of made it past a couple of months not a couple of months, but enough time has passed since the trade deadline, enough time has passed since the All-Star break, and teams have kind of either picked up steam or lost steam post both of those. So we're going to talk about which team or teams we think have just kind of not either turned around their season or just had a little more of a boost post All-Star break, post trade deadline. Warriors is a big one for me. That's
Warriors
obviously
has to be the first. They have to
I
be the
think
first.
that has to be the biggest one, possibly just because both with acquisition and with record,
Yeah, they've improved really
yeah.
strongly.
I'd go with Lakers are another one because
Hmm.
I would say they're
You
I
see,
don't
this
know.
this this question is kind of tough because I think it's only the Warriors I can think of that were
That's fair.
performing really bad, and they picked up steam, and they had since post trade deadline, because Lakers were already performing since
True.
January 15th. You look at their record since January 15th, it's been abysmal. Like when I mean abysmal, I mean like mental, really mental in terms of good. So I think it's only the Warriors I can think of post trade deadline, post All Star break. Every other team has just, and maybe Cleveland too. They were all, but then to go on a 16-game win streak, I think that's also mental too. But for this question, I think it's definitely just Warriors. I think this is where we just sit down and be like, okay, Warriors, like you deserve credit for this. Like since Draymond said that while winning the chip this year, they have just been on a whole nother level.
They have. Definitely the Warriors are the clearest cut pick for it. For me, the Lakers, I think that their team, they were playing good basketball before, like you said. But I don't, in my personal opinion, I don't think they were playing the level of defense they are now. I now they had AD, obviously they had Anthony Davis, and he was averaging 3 blocks a game or 2 point whatever blocks a game.
Since January 15th, AD wasn't playing at that time. That's when the defense actually started picking up.
So AD, when did AD get traded?
February 3rd, 2nd, February 2nd, I think,
And he
1st.
and he was out since January 15th.
And he was out. He was the timeline is kind of scary, but that's when the defense
So they
started
picked
picking
up
up.
post him going out, essentially.
Yeah, they picked up with him going out.
But it was
Yeah,
pre-trade,
it
obviously.
was pre-trade. Yeah,
So for me, it's kind of it's something where it's continued to round itself out and refine itself. And I didn't think it wasn't going to work to have Luka and LeBron on the same team and to have this setup, but I was extremely worried about losing more size and losing something that had been such an issue. But honestly, the involvement of Hayes, the involvement of our bigs since we've gotten Luka is different. It's not the same. The lobs, and again, lobs are not always the most efficient way of scoring or the best way, but there have been times where we have taken control of moments of games because of a connection from Luka to one of our bigs. And so there's definitely something growing that I have seen that I have seen post acquiring Luka, but the storm and the growth and that like together that was coming together before the trade even happened. So it the timeline is messy. I'd say the one, like you said, to boil it down and make it the easiest, the one where it's like they were not they weren't an awful team, but they were not. They were in the play-in conversation. That is the Warriors. The Warriors were the team that was a play-in conversation team, and they were playing like they were going to be 8th or 9th or 10th. Honestly, with how the Warriors played before getting Jimmy Butler, I thought they were going to finish 8th, 9th, or 10th. And so that is and I'm saying they're going to finish 4th. So obviously, it's definitely a pretty big pickup for them, I would say. But
yeah. I'm trying to see when was AD's last game.
I know he played. Was it the Celtics?
No,
Might
did
have.
he play Celtics?
I don't know. Let me see. Actually,
That's kind of weird. The last game he played, I think, was Philly.
oh, actually, well, yeah.
Yeah, the last game I think he played was Philly. That was the last game he played for, because in February, January Cleveland, he played 37 minutes. February 1st, he played 37 minutes against Atlanta. So it was against Philly. I think that was when he left the game against Philly.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense. Well, he missed quite a bit of time.
Anyways.
He's basically been out since. He came back one game.
Yeah.
And then went back out. So not a good situation. But yeah, you definitely boiled it down pretty good, and I definitely would say the only team in a scenario that was like not in the best to the best is the Warriors, and I see that continuing. I see them. I can see them being a team that makes a pretty big run. I can see us facing up with them past round one, because if we finish second, we'd play the Timberwolves, I believe, which that would be, whew, man, that'd be exciting. That'd be a 6-7 game series. If we're being honest, I mean, if everyone's healthy, I think that's a 6 or 7 game series. But I think the Lakers match up with the Warriors later in the postseason, and I think it's a really good series. So for me, the Warriors became that team post acquiring Jimmy Butler. If they didn't have Jimmy Butler, I would say the farthest they would go would be second round, not even second round.
They would have been in playing. They would have been in contention to. They have been in playing and had to struggle. Yes, if they didn't get Jimmy Butler, they would have been in the plane, if not worse. But anyways, that's neither here or there.
They probably wouldn't have made it past the play-in, honestly.
Yeah,
possibly, but I don't see them beating the Timberwolves. I don't see them beating any of the Clippers. I don't see them beating any of those teams that are in there right now. Realistically, you bounce out the Suns and you put them in.
Yeah, no, my bad. March Madness. Anyways.
Oh no, what's going on? Because I have brackets. I got like 12 brackets. What happened?
Clemson just got stunned.
By who'd they play?
I don't know where that's team. 12 seed McNeese.
Oh, I don't think I picked them on any of my brackets.
2-point loss, which is crazy. Anyways.
There goes the bracket.
There goes the brackets.
Maybe not. Did I pick them?
There goes the brackets.
Let me just look really quick. I might have picked them. There's no
way.
No, I didn't pick them.
Oh, there goes the bracket. Yeah.
But that's one thing missing on this bracket right now. That's the one. Anyways. Shoot.
Where were we? Yeah, where were we?
That's crazy, McNeese. That's crazy. I lost my train of thought, honestly. But yeah, no. Warriors all the way. Except probably not all the way. Just second round. Maybe the conference finals. They surprised some people, but I don't know. They're a very well-rounded team that could shock a lot of people. So moving on, we're going to talk about something that we've talked about several times, but we're just going to touch on it again and see if our opinions have changed. MVP. If you watched the first one this will be our third one. If you watched our first one we did, I was adamant about Joker. At that point in the season, to me, I was like, he's doing everything. He's healthy. The Nuggets looked like a pretty solid team. I don't remember exactly where their placement was. Obviously, it was lower than the Thunder because the Thunder have been on top the whole season. But they were looking really, really good, and it was because of Joker was a huge part of that. Because of several different factors, whether it's been he's had several games where he's been shut down or he's been out a couple of games, SGA has by far the MVP for sure. I think if SGA doesn't win it, I would be surprised, only because I think one of the biggest things an MVP needs to have is availability, and I think SGA has been the most available MVP candidate this season. So I'm going to leave it at that. What are your thoughts? Are you still rocking with SGA, or do you have any other candidates that you think are creeping up a little bit?
No, I think it's still SGA. I think Joker was pretty close because we all know what he did. Was it that 2020 game? I can't remember the game he dropped 20 assists, triple double. Something else I can't remember. This was a long time ago. But I think that was pretty close then, and maybe some people still have him. But then with these 2 games he's missed so far, that might just have dangled things down a bit. But yeah, SGA is, I personally still have SGA, and I think if SGA doesn't win it, then Joker just comes back and goes insanely stupid. But yeah, SGA all the way.
I'm with you. I called Joker. I thought Joker had it. My first change of mind was when I saw the Lakers Nuggets game live and just saw him get shut down. Now he still had a triple double, but it was like 14 points or 16. And again, it's not like scoring is like his. I would say scoring is not what makes him great, but everything that makes him great was getting shut down. And we've seen that a couple of times, and we've also seen him miss a couple of games. And SGA has been available the whole season. SGA has gone on scoring tears the whole season while also playing really, really solid defense. And so for me, it's farther than it was. You could still say it's somewhat close just because I can still see it being close in the eyes of the people that are voting for it. But I've got SGA. Some people I saw on social media have it the exact opposite. And they're like, if Joker doesn't win it, he's robbed, blah, 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 blah. And I don't see it as that. I don't know if I would say either of them would be robbed if the other one wins it. I would say that SGA, though, you could say that SGA should have gotten it if he doesn't get it. You can easily make that argument. I think you could make that argument stronger than you could make the case that Joker should have gotten it. If you know what I mean? I don't know.
I get your point. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. If Joker wins it, then you'd be like, but SGA, like, you know what I mean? But if SGA wins it, we'll be like, that's fair. That's valid. Like, that's valid. So yeah.
So who knows though? Maybe a third person will enter it, but I don't think there's anyone even close.
With what, 3.5 weeks to go? No.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I don't who is technically third? Is it Giannis?
I think it's either Giannis or Jason Tatum.
Yeah, no, there's neither of them are getting that. It's definitely but highly fought between SGA and Joker. But if SGA plays the remainder of the season and doesn't miss any games, and OKC finishes like 8+ games ahead of, come on, how are you going to not give it?
How are you not? Exactly.
8+, like when you said the 12, that's insane.
12 and a half is crazy.
If they finished somehow 10+ games above that, come on. It's the MVP is a tricky award because it should be about a bunch of different factors, and I feel like it's sometimes like certain, like one thing overshadows another. So
yeah,
it's tricky, but we'll check back in. We'll check back in on it, but we are going to move on to our last segment of the day, which is a top of the hour 5. And this week is not a little different. We've done teams before, but we are going to talk about our pick for the top 5 current NBA teams. What I'm going to say is this, for my list, I'm not talking about, the top few teams are the teams with the best records, but there's, I think 4 and 5 for me aren't 4 and 5. Like they might not be ranked there, if that makes sense. This isn't like where they're ranked at in the standings. This is just what teams are best. So
yeah, I think 1, 2, 3 are definitely set in stone. Like no one can argue. Then 4 and 5 starts becoming 4 and 5 are probably the ones that we will have to pick our poison well.
That's I would agree. But let's get right into it. Starting at number 5. I'm gonna go with the Nuggets. I'm gonna go with the Nuggets at number 5. Despite Murray and Joker being out and them definitely not being as dominating, in my personal opinion, of a team as they were last season and the season before, they still retain that position in the West, and they're still a team that has an insanely aggressive and active fan base, and they're just a team that has a lot of motion that they didn't have before. So I got to give number 5 to the Nuggets. What do you got, David? Who's your number 5 for the best teams in the NBA?
Ooh, number 5 is a tough one. Number 5 is a big, really tough, but I think number 5, and this is no disrespect, and some might argue, I think number 5 has to be the Los Angeles Lakers.
That's a good pick.
Number 5 is the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm putting this based on the fact that Denver have And the reason I put them in my number 5 and Denver as my number 4, if we're moving on, but like it's because Denver is not unpredictable. I don't know what the word is, but like I can't just keep Denver aside. You know what I mean? Like just because they might, we beat them and we split series 2-2, I just can't just say Lakers are above them because I think they have gone farther than, and their defense is still sauce. Denver's defense is sauce, but I still think they're just ahead, better than the Lakers. So Lakers are number 5, and obviously Denver at number 4. But yeah.
No, good pick. Well, I guess there's probably no surprise who my number 4 is then. It's flipped for me and David. My 4 is the Lakers. My reasoning, I think, looking at just this season, I think we're a better team. I think we have performed better overall. I think that the Nuggets have had really good individual performances in individual games throughout the season where they have looked like a team that could definitely be deemed a better team than the Lakers. But the reason I've got the Lakers above them is we look like a different team, and even before the Luka trade, we looked like a different team. And you're actually the first person that said this, so I'll shout that out. But it all starts with the coaching with JJ Redick. He has turned the team into something that I don't think could another coach somewhere possibly have success, but he's done something really, really special with this squad that not a lot of coaches would be able to do first season. And so for me, they've accomplished a lot within this season as a team, and throughout these changes, they've just gotten better. So for me, they're an overall better team, top to bottom. And I honestly think at this point, they have had a little bit. They have better depth at every position except maybe 1 or 2, I would say. And you could argue that potentially, but I think, in my personal opinion, looking at their depth chart side to side, I would give the Lakers the advantage, especially at this point, in 3 out of 5 positions at least. So I'm going to give it to the Lakers, but it's close. And like you said, you can't just count them out because they are the most recent champions. They've had the most success, and they're the Denver Nuggets, and so you can't count them out. But definitely my number 4 has to be the Lakers. Number 3, who do you got for number 3?
I think that's fairly easy. I have Celtics as the number 3. They have the 3rd best record in the NBA. They are the reigning defending champions. They play good basketball. They might shoot a lot of threes, but no one can argue that if they go up against every other team other than OKC and Cleveland, they'll happily beat them. So yeah, I think number 3 is simple. Celtics.
Definitely, no, I agree. I think honestly, 3 Celtics, 2 Cavs, 1 OKC.
Well, exactly.
I don't think
exactly. I think it's fairly simple.
Yeah, that one's pretty simple. I don't think there's a lot of argument. Now, some people could argue maybe Cavs and Celtics at the end of the season, depending on how separated they are by games, but I don't think there's enough time to separate them that much. I'm pretty sure it's set where it is, but time will tell. But again, those 4 and 5 ones are hard.
Yeah, I can see where that's coming from.
Yeah, no, even top 10 would be a tricky list because
six Warriors right now. 6 Warriors. If I tell you right now, 6 Warriors. 7 New York. 8, 9, and 10. I don't really care.
Hey, I like the 6 being the Warriors, though. I agree with, and that just shows where they're at now because they definitely were not that team a couple of months ago. Even less than. I mean, they've been that since they got Butler. It's not been that long. They've had to build pretty quick, and they've done a good job of that. So, shout out to the Warriors. We don't shout them out that much on this show, but we've shouted them out a little more lately. But they've deserved it. They've earned it. They've been playing a brand of basketball that could put them pretty deep in the playoffs. So that is our top of the hour 5. If there's ever any top of the hour 5s you guys want us to do, you can always leave them in the comments either during our live or after our live, whenever you watch our show, or any segments you want to see in general. We will definitely look at that, at what you guys want to see and go with that. So if there's any top 5s or anything else you guys want, let us know. That takes us to the end of another show, but this is not the only place you can find David and I when it comes to podcasting. David, where else can our viewers find you?
Yes, find us if you're into soccer or minded football fans. Podcast, your go-to for all things Premier League football. So we love to see you out there. Check us out. Check out our excuse me, check out, we're on break right now because it's in the international break. But once the season gets back, we'll get back. 8 games to go. There's still so much to play for. So check us out.
And then I have a show called The College Football Junkie, which is also on the Yankee and the Brit. We're currently on a break, but we will be resuming within the next like 6 to 8 weeks, probably 4 to 6 actually weeks more realistically, because with spring ball starting. But once spring ball gets started, we'll start talking some college football. So definitely check us out. We are Friday mornings or Saturday mornings, TBD for the next season, but we will definitely let you guys know that. But that takes us to the end of another show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.